3 applications, same car park, same farm. And every single time, the answer should have been obvious before it even started. Because the council that keeps making Clarkson fight for this car park is the same council that told him to apply for it in the first place. They asked him to do it. Then they made him prove it in a 2-day hearing anyway. That's not bureaucracy. That's a system eating its own advice. And by the end of this, the only question you'll have left is how a council can be this certain and this slow at the exact same time. Here's the sentence that actually matters, straight from Clarkson's own team's submission. Season 6 has been commissioned. It's currently in production, filming right now, airing summer 2027. 3 further years to monitor and review thereafter seems appropriate. That's not Clarkson trying to pull a fast one. That's Clarkson giving the council a clear, honest timeline tied to a broadcast date that's already public knowledge. No games. A specific window, openly justified. Now let that sit for a second. 3 years, stated plainly on the record, by a business that's done nothing but tell the council the truth the whole way through. So here's what's really going on. It starts with a car park that should never have needed this many rounds of paperwork, and a piece of Clarkson's land that was never treated like an ordinary field to begin with. Diddly squat sits inside the Cotswolds area of outstanding natural beauty. That single designation puts tougher planning restrictions on Clarkson's land than most farms in England will ever face. Every fence post, every gravel patch, every request for parking clears a higher bar than it would almost anywhere else. This was never going to be a simple conversation for Clarkson. Go back to 2021. Clarkson applies for planning permission for a restaurant near the farm shop. Refused. Most business owners walk away there. Clarkson didn't. In August 2022, he opens a 40-cover restaurant anyway, inside a building called Land Barn, using permitted development rights, the same legal mechanism available to any landowner trying to bring a disused agricultural building back into use. He wasn't hiding it. He confirmed it himself, in writing, later on. 12 days into that August, the council serves an enforcement notice. Clarkson's restaurant closes within about a month of opening. Think about what that actually cost him. Not in some abstract sense. In Clarkson's own words, "As a result of this, I've had to sell most of the cows I bought, and now I'm back to using chemicals. I no longer wish to open a restaurant." Clarkson's entire supply chain for a beef-based menu collapsed overnight. Forced back onto artificial inputs he'd specifically been trying to move away from. A diversification project built to support British farming, shut down inside weeks. By January 2023, Clarkson writes to the council to make his position completely clear. "We do not wish to expand the on-site businesses any further. We are perfectly happy with what we have. Contrary to some of the claims being made, I do not want to turn Diddly Squat Farm into Disneyland. It is, after all, where I live. But we really do need on-site parking." Read that closely. Clarkson isn't asking for an empire. He's asking to stop his own visitors from clogging up a country lane outside his front door. And when the enforcement notice against the restaurant stood anyway, Clarkson appealed it, alongside a separate refusal on the car park. That's not a contradiction. That's a man who tried to accept a bad outcome quietly, and then, once he saw the actual cost of walking away, decided his livelihood was worth fighting for. The appeal hearing runs across 2 days in March 2023, with Planning Inspector R.J. Perrin visiting Clarkson's site twice. 2 visits. A formal 2-day hearing. For a car park and a barn. Here's where it turns on the restaurant. Perrin sides against Clarkson. 6 weeks to tear it all down. His words. 6 weeks is more than sufficient to restore the surrounding land to the condition it was in before the breach took place. 6 weeks for a business that employed local people and sold local produce, in an industry that famously can't survive on subsidy and unpredictable weather alone. But on the car park, the one thing that was actually about public safety, about stopping cars parking on a country lane, Perrin grants it to Clarkson. He approves an extension to the existing parking area, formalizes the temporary parking, allows new access arrangements, and permits a small calf attached to the lambing shed alongside it. Even the inspector ruling against Clarkson on the restaurant could see the parking was never the problem. It was the solution. Now, here is the part that even most people who follow Clarkson's story closely have never fully joined up. That approval only bought him 3 years, from June 2023. The clock runs out around 2026. And this was never even the first time Clarkson had to ask. Back in February 2023, before the ruling even landed, he had already made an earlier bid, a temporary car park to run until January 2025, 70 cars, 4 rows, on a 60 by 32 meter field. Then the ruling gives him a different 3-year window to around 2026. Now, in 2026, Clarkson is back again, asking for 2030. 3 separate applications. Same patch of gravel. For a facility that Oxfordshire's own Highways Authority says prevents cars parking dangerously on the road outside. Clarkson found a genuine problem. His farm's success was causing a road safety issue, solved it, and has now had to re-justify that same solution to the council 3 times in 3 years. That's not Clarkson dragging this out. That's a system that can't commit to a decision longer than a few years at a time. Here's the part the council itself can't argue with, because they said it themselves. In 2023, we understand that the planning process shown in Season 2 of Clarkson's farm can seem obstructive. They went on record insisting, as with any other planning authority, we have a legal responsibility to make sure that planning laws and policies are followed correctly by everyone. This is regardless of who they are, and we treat Diddley Squat Farm no differently. Fine words. Then, in 2024, they went further, practically admitting the car park battle didn't need to happen at all. We encouraged Diddley Squat Farm to make an application for a temporary car park long before the appeal. The council is on record saying they told Clarkson to sort out parking. He did, and it still took a formal appeal to get it approved. So ask yourself, if the council knew a car park was the right call before the appeal even started, why did it take an inspector, a 2-day hearing, and 2 site visits to actually grant it? The council thought they were being reasonable, listing everything they'd approved. The lambing shed, a barn, the farm shop, insisting they don't want to see the farm shop close. Ending with, our door has always been open and will remain open should they choose to work with us. But words are cheap when the paper trail shows Clarkson's business has had to fight formally 3 separate times. For the one thing everybody, the council, the Highways Authority, even most of the local community, actually agrees is necessary. Not everyone in the village agrees, and this won't pretend otherwise. One resident, after the restaurant closure, called it a win for the community and said the farm was in the wrong place. That's a real voice on the record, and it deserves to be heard. But set it against a council that publicly admits it encouraged the car park application, a Highways Authority that's formally endorsed it, and a business that employs local people and sells local produce. One unhappy neighbor doesn't add up to the case West Oxfordshire District Council has spent 3 years failing to close. Even a county councillor said as much at the time. Liam Walker, on the record, backing Clarkson's appeal outright. Local councils need to understand and appreciate farming has significantly changed for many reasons, and the planning rules need to also change to allow them to diversify quickly. Farmers right across the country deserve our support. That's not a fringe opinion. That's an elected official looking at the same paperwork you're looking at right now, and reaching the same conclusion as Clarkson. That's not a celebrity making demands. That's Clarkson pointing out that other local farms and suppliers depend on this arrangement too. When his car park works, other people's livelihoods work with it. So where does this leave things? A 3-year track record proving Clarkson's car park does precisely what it was built to do. Keep cars off a country road and keep a working farm's visitors safe. There's no real case left to make against him. There's just a council that has, by its own admission, made this harder than it needed to be. If you've enjoyed today's story, do subscribe. Tell us in the comments what we should dig into next. Thank you, as always, for watching.